Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me for another deep dive into the mysteries of our world. Before we get started, if you enjoy exploring fascinating and sometimes unsettling places, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up today. We're rejourneying to one of the most haunting and infamous places on the entire planet. The world's most famous ghost city. This isn't a story from a horror movie. This is a real place, frozen in time, with a story that needs to be told. So, buckle up, because we're about to step into a world where silence reigns supreme. Let's begin. So, what exactly is a ghost city? The name itself paints a pretty vivid picture, doesn't it? Imagine a city with all the familiar structures: houses, apartment buildings, schools, shops, and roads. Now, imagine it completely empty. The sounds of children playing, cars driving, and people chatting are all gone, replaced by an eerie, profound silence. A ghost city is an abandoned urban area, a place that was once a bustling hub of human activity, but is now deserted. There are many reasons why a city might die. Sometimes it's a slow decline, like an economic collapse where the main industry, maybe mining or manufacturing, dries up, forcing everyone to leave in search of work. Other times, the cause is much more sudden and catastrophic. Natural disasters like earthquakes or floods can render a city uninhabitable. Wars can level entire communities, forcing survivors to flee. And in some cases, an environmental disaster or a sudden evacuation order can turn a thriving metropolis into an empty shell overnight, leaving everything behind. These places aren't just ruins. They are time capsules, preserving a moment of life just before it vanished. Now, when you think of a ghost city, one name probably comes to mind more than any other: Pripyat in modern-day Ukraine. This city holds the title of the world's most famous ghost city, and for a very good reason. Its story is a chilling reminder of the unforeseen consequences of human ambition. Pripyat wasn't an ancient city that faded over centuries. It was a modern, thriving Soviet atomgrad, or atomic city, founded in 1970. Its sole purpose was to house the thousands of workers and their families who operated the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. It was designed to be a model Soviet city, a beacon of progress and nuclear power. By the mid-1980s, its population had swelled to nearly 50,000 people. It had everything a young, growing city could want: 16 schools filled with children, a brand new hospital, dozens of shops, cafes, a cultural palace, and sports facilities. People had good jobs, comfortable apartments, and a sense of optimism. Families were planning their futures here, completely unaware that their entire world was about to be irrevocably shattered. Parks were filled with laughter, and the city was vibrant and full of life, a symbol of a bright, technological future. Then, in the early morning hours of April 26, 1986, everything changed forever. A catastrophic explosion tore through Reactor No. 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, just a few kilometers away from Pripyat. This wasn't just a fire. It was the worst nuclear disaster in human history. The explosion and subsequent fire released a massive cloud of radioactive material into the atmosphere, which then spread across the region and much of Europe. For the residents of Pripyat, the initial hours were filled with confusion. They saw a strange glow in the sky, but were told nothing was wrong. Life went on as normal for a day, but the invisible enemy, radiation, was silently poisoning the air, the soil, and everything it touched. It took the Soviet authorities 36 hours to finally admit the severity of the situation. An announcement was made: a fleet of buses would arrive to evacuate the entire city. Residents were told it was a temporary measure, a precaution that would last only 3 days. They were instructed to pack only essential documents, some food, and a change of clothes. They were told to leave their pets, their family photos, their children's toys, everything. They believed they would be back in a few days. They never returned. Walking through Pripyat today is like stepping onto the set of a post-apocalyptic film, except it's all real. It's a city where time literally stopped on April 27, 1986. The evacuation was so sudden that it feels as though the residents simply vanished into thin air. In the classrooms of the city's schools, textbooks and notebooks lie open on desks, right where students left them. Gas masks are scattered across the floors, a haunting relic of a failed emergency drill. In the abandoned apartments, personal belongings are still in place. A child's doll lies on a dusty bed, Family portraits hang crookedly on the walls, and clothes are still in the closets. It's a profoundly intimate and disturbing scene, a glimpse into thousands of lives cut short. Perhaps the most iconic and heartbreaking symbol of Pripyat is its amusement park. It was scheduled to have its grand opening on May 1, 1986, just a few days after the disaster. The Ferris wheel, the bumper cars, the swing rides, they stand silent and rusting, a monument to a celebration that never happened. The Ferris wheel, in particular, has become a global symbol of the Chernobyl disaster. Today, nature is aggressively reclaiming the city. Trees burst through the floors of buildings and grow in the middle of what were once busy boulevards. Wild animals, including wolves, wild boar, and even horses, roam the empty streets. The once manicured squares are now dense forests. The overwhelming silence is only broken by the wind whistling through shattered window panes and the chirping of birds who are oblivious to the invisible danger that still lurks here. So, why hasn't Pripyat been torn down? Why does it still exist as this massive, empty monument? The simple answer is radiation. Even decades after the disaster, hotspots with dangerously high levels of radiation persist throughout the city and the surrounding exclusion zone. The radioactive isotopes embedded in the soil, the buildings, and the trees have very long half-lives, meaning they will remain dangerous for hundreds, even thousands of years. Living here permanently is impossible and illegal. The only people allowed inside the exclusion zone are researchers studying the long-term effects of radiation, workers involved in the ongoing cleanup and containment of the Chernobyl plant, and a limited number of tourists on strictly controlled tours. These tourists must follow rigid safety protocols, carrying dosimeters to measure their radiation exposure and staying on designated paths to avoid the most contaminated areas. Pripyat stands as a powerful and somber warning. It reminds us of the immense power we wield with nuclear technology and the catastrophic price of failure. It shows just how quickly our modern, comfortable lives can be upended and how fragile our civilization truly is. While Pripyat is the most famous, it's far from the only ghost city in the world. Each one has its own unique and fascinating story of rise and fall. Let's take a quick tour of a few others. First, let's head to Japan, to Hashima Island, also known as Gunkanjima or Battleship Island. This was once the most densely populated place on Earth. It was a thriving undersea coal mining facility owned by Mitsubishi. Thousands of workers and their families lived crammed into a concrete city on a tiny island. But in the 1970s, as Japan shifted from coal to petroleum, the mine was closed. In 1974, the island was completely abandoned, leaving behind a surreal concrete labyrinth now being battered by the sea. It's a stark example of a city built for a single purpose, and what happens when that purpose disappears? Next, we travel to the deserts of Namibia, to a place called Kalmansk. In the early 1900s, this was a booming, luxurious town that sprung up almost overnight after diamonds were discovered in the sand. It had a hospital, a power station, a theater, and even an ice factory in the middle of the desert. But the diamond fields were soon exhausted, and by the 1950s, the town was completely deserted. Today, the desert is swallowing it whole. Sand dunes have filled the elegant homes, creating hauntingly beautiful scenes of nature, reclaiming a place built on fleeting wealth. And then there's a more modern kind of ghost city, Ordo's Kangbashi in China. Unlike the others, this city wasn't abandoned. It was never really inhabited in the first place. It was part of a massive, ambitious building boom, a new district designed to house over 1 million people. It has incredible architecture, sprawling public squares, and thousands of empty apartment buildings. But the people never came in the numbers expected. While its population is slowly growing, for years it stood as a massive, eerily pristine ghost city, a testament to urban planning that outpaced reality. Each of these cities, from Pripyat to Ordos, tells a different tale. Some are stories of environmental disaster, others of economic collapse, and some of misplaced ambition. But they all share a common magnetic pull. So why are we so fascinated by these places? What is it about ghost cities that captures our imagination? I think it's because they tap into some of our deepest existential thoughts. They are a stark, physical reminder of the impermanence of everything we build. They show us how quickly our bustling, complex civilizations can crumble and disappear, swallowed by nature or left behind by progress. There's an undeniable eeriness to them, a feeling of walking through a memory. It's emotional. You can almost feel the echoes of the lives that were lived there. You can stand in an empty school and imagine the sound of children's laughter. This connection to a lost past is incredibly powerful. Ghost cities serve as a warning, a memento mori for our entire civilization. They remind us that progress isn't a given, and that the world we know today could look very different tomorrow. They are both terrifying and beautiful, a powerful meditation on life, loss, and time. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world's most haunting ghost cities. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which ghost city story shocked you the most? Or do you know of another one we should explore? Let me know below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.